everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan page that'll have plot synopsis to this story as well as character bios. So we are going to be looking at Captain America 327 from 1986. Now, I skipped number 326. It was a bit of a just kind of a throwaway story, so I decided just to skip it. It was kind of a weird flashback type story. So here we go. John Walker versus Steve Rogers. Great cover by Mike Zeck. A beautiful cover by Mike Zeck. Real quick, I want to show you a pinup by Mike Mignola, early Mike Mignola of the Red Skull and Baron Zemo. This was in the Marvel Fanfare 34. I'm reading off a book that I actually have. It's the Epic Collection for Captain America. So, all right. So, beautiful cover. All right, here we go. Clashing symbols. Your kind makes me sick. And so this is a great, absolutely great splash page. Here's our credits. Mark Grenwald, rest in peace. He's one of the longest writers for Captain America. Paul Neary is most of the time known as an inker, particularly Alan Davis's inker, and John Beatty is the inker. You traitorous foreign lowlife, I'm wise to you. You pose as students, but you're actually here to spy for Gaddafi. So, a little bit of right-wing rhetoric from this guy here. I'm not Libyan, I'm Algerian. Libyan, Algeria, Iranian, you're all the same. You're all out to do America dirty. And this is one proud American who ain't gonna stand for it. So, yo, Lamar, leave him be. We need someone to give the rest of them a message. You're lucky, camel jockey. So, just want you to know that in the 1980s, there's the same problems as exist today. There's nothing new under the sun. What you see on Twitter or Facebook or X or it doesn't matter. These problems have been going on freaking forever. So, and you know what? When you're my age, you're going to say, oh, they're the same problems that I had when, So, now go on run to your fellow traitors. I don't know what go on. Okay. Now go on, run to your fellow traitors. So, and tell them if they don't get out, and tell them if they don't get out of their butts out of our country, out of our ever-loving country, we're going to make them real sorry. All right, so roughing up a bunch of un-American slimeballs sure does my patriotic heart good. Hector all set to bogey. He's just finishing out up front. Real quick, the fact that they're using a Hispanic, because Hector would be Hispanic, and they're using a black man and a white one, it just tells you that ideas are not colorblind. People of every creed, race, there are right and left wingers of all colors, of all creeds, of everything. So, generalizing people and saying all black people are a bunch of Democrats, that's not true. All white people are a bunch of Republicans. That's not true. So, same for Hispanic, same for everybody. So, I do like that they used 3 different cultures to represent this type of ideology. So, all right. Uh, can't forget the sign. Hey, foreign has two R's in it, don't it? And so, for foreign scum, but they misspell it. No, you knucklehead. One R and a G somewhere. It does? Do I have to buy you guys a dictionary or what? Stand back. I'm flicking my Zippo. All right. Ain't that a pretty sign? Yeah, except you spelt it wrong. Get out of here. I used the American spelling. Here come the campus Gaddafis to admire our words. All traitors beware the Buckies. That's short for Bold Urban Commandos. And of course, they're like, somebody stop them. I called the campus police. So, several blocks away. And no, there's a. And there's a boss's limo waiting as usual. Get in. I hear sirens. How'd it go, boys? Without a hitch, Super Patriot. Good. Have a beer. Step on it, Candy. So, it looks like Super Patriot was in charge of all this. So, hey, boys, you really ought to come with us on one of our campus capers. You'd have a ball putting the fear of the flag on some of those pencil necks. You know, I'd like to, Jake, but my agent hasn't finished the market research yet to see if our anti-terrorist crusade would be good for my image. My gut feeling tells me that the public goes for that strong arm stuff. Look at the support that old FUD Captain America got when he offed that terrorist. But till I know for sure, we'll keep on letting the public think you boys are the captain's cohorts, not mine. Whatever you say, Soup. So, and so on the other side of campus, we got Steve Rogers coming on his van. Strange, I felt less trepidation approaching the Red Skull's house last Halloween than I do now. That was last issue. I did not cover it. So, I guess Captain America is better at facing physical peril than Steve Rogers is at facing emotional uncertainty. What do I have to be afraid of? That she's totally changed into some person to whom I can no longer relate? That she stopped loving me? Or that I've changed and, Steve, you made it. Byrne, is that you? In the flesh, handsome. What happened to your hair? I thought I told you on the phone. It got in the way of my studying. So, now come inside. I want you to see my room, meet my crazy housemates, all charter members of the Future Shyster Society. Okay. Bernie's spunk and sense of humor certainly haven't changed. Suzanne, Paul, this is Steve, the guy I told you about. Oh, the comic book artist from Brooklyn. So what do you think of the place? A real regression from my own apartment back in the Heights, huh? No, you've made it very homey. Close the door. I've got to show you my stash. Your what? My clip file about you, Steve. You don't make the headlines here in the Midwest, but I still snip any item I see. It's the only way I can keep up with your life sometimes. And I try to call you every Sunday night, Bernie, but, well, sometimes I just can't get to. Shush, Steve. I know how busy you must be. Just hold me close, okay? Bernie used to be kind of like his girlfriend, and she's actually from the Roger Stern John Byrne run, which, by the way, I have on a Captain America playlist, so feel free to check that out. That it has her first appearance and everything. So she dated Captain America for a while. So, and so this guy says, "Hey Bernie, sorry to disturb, but I just heard something weird's going on campus. Someone set the lawn off the International House on fire. You and Steve want to go check it out with us?" "No, Paul, why don't you go with him, Bernie?" And she goes, "What?" "Believe it or not, lawn burnings is one of the reasons I'm in the Midwest right now. I'll tell you about it later. Make some excuse for me to your roomies. I want to check it out in my own way." "Okay. I'll go with you, Paul. Steve wants to stay here and rest. Long drive, you know. Whatever. Come on, we're taking Sue's car." And, Paul thinks Bernie's old beau sure is an old duck. Oh, sorry, odd duck. Built like a Russian weightlifter and draws kitty cartoons for a living. What does she see in him besides his Robert Redford looks? Robert Redford was quite the actor back in the day. So he sneaks into the van and comes out with his Captain America cycle. So he shows up. They're putting out the fire. Excuse me, sir. I'm Captain America, and I've been following the trail of these lawn burning crackpots across the country. And go see the officer on the porch. And he's like, can't believe it's him. And they're like, that's him. That's the man who hurt my friends and started the fire. How dare he come back here to mock us? What's everybody talking about? Captain America isn't responsible for this. Don't they know any better? Says Bernie. What else would that walking flag be doing in Madtown? So the walking flag. That's good. If you come inside, Captain, maybe we'll be able to hear ourselves talk. And all of these people are like, Cap, go home. Rambo off campus. So another guy's like, up with Cap. Deport all spies. Settle down, son. Settle down. So the guy asks, you sure it was Captain America? He's like, no, it was a black man, but he was wearing the same mask. He had 2 or 3 men with him, white, I think. And Captain America says they call themselves the Buckies officers, bold urban commandos. They've been committing various acts across the country, trying to give patriotism a black eye. I followed their trail here. I'd be happy to provide you with all the information I've been able to gather. Okay, but if you think we're letting you in on a police investigation, mister, that's not how we do things around here. And he says, I see. And so he walks away. And of course, the police are sort of holding back the protesters. And so some of these like filthy liars, we're not spies. Cap, come save me from these pigs. They're abridging my right to free speech. I agree with you, man. Send these traitors packing. And so Captain America is like just feels a bit of shame that he would do anything like this, or like that people would even think he would do anything like this. So they knocked down his bike here, some of them. Lava, you stuck it to those terrorists, Captain. I saw the guys who did it, Cap. Come on, I'll take you to them and you can stomp on them. And so Captain America just picks up his bike and rides away. So he shows up as Steve, and he's like, oh, I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk. The art, so I know the art's a little crude, but it is what it is, man. I can't, this is what part of the reason I don't think I really cared for Captain America. If it wasn't for those cool covers, I don't think I would have picked it up. But the cover is really cool by Mike Zeck. So I actually have a lot of these, but it didn't last very long. I was into X-Men, who had Mark Silvestri. Art Adams did the annuals. It just looks so much better than everything else. John Buscema was on Iron Man. Bob Layton and Mark Bright were doing Iron Man. Simonson and Buscema were doing Thor. What else was I buying? Jim Aparo was on Batman. That was still good, Jim Aparo. So I just, the art in Captain America just kind of didn't really do it for me. And Paul Neri, I'm sure, is a great inker and all that kind of stuff. By the way, Paul Neri, I believe, passed away this year. So, but it just, the pencils. So when you see this, it just, imagine you're a teenager. You look at this and you go, ugh, you know, because that's who the comic books were aimed at in the 80s. So, teenagers. Marvel Comics has always been aimed at teenagers. Never really aimed at little kids. Never really aimed at maybe young adults too. Teenagers and perhaps college kids. That's really the market, the demographic. And when you pick this up back in the day, it just didn't work. John Romita Jr. was on Daredevil. You know, uh, so it was kind of hard following Captain America. It just the art, I'd pick it up and I'd go, "Oh, this is just terrible." As I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate it. The story is very good, but the art isn't. You might disagree, and that's okay. Art is subjective. So, but I mean, look at this. Look at this foot. I mean, it just it just looks not good. So, all right. So Paul says, "Well, come on in. You're just in time for my nightly battle of wits with Bernie. Tonight's debate topic: Did Captain America vote for Ronald Reagan?" So, I believe he did. I see Captain as a staunch Republican type with a militant conservative streak down his back, about a mile wide. Bernie seems to think that since he became Cap during FDR's presidency. Oh, enough with the nightly claptrap, Paul. You never admit it when I'm right. Anyway, I'd rather spend my evening catching up with Steve. So, I'm not going to let up on this topic until we've thoroughly thrashed it out, Bernie. Yeah, I know. Steve, you thought our Brooklyn neighbors were characters. They're not half as bad as Paul and his cronies. So they sit down and talk. Not gonna read all this here. So, Steve says they work for the Super Patriot, and that he's just trying to smear his name and character. And Bernie says she was reading up on him here, and it was on Rolling Stone magazine. So back in the day, in comic books, you sort of could get away with some using some real life things. So, of course, Rolling Stone was a cool and hip magazine back then. And so she says, I think Super Patriot's one of the guests at the Americade concert this weekend in Milwaukee. And he goes, anyway, to still get tickets? She says, I doubt them. They're very hot items, scalpers maybe. And he says he's going to call the hotline. He thinks maybe they might be able to get him the tickets. So, next day on Washington, D.C. here. So I like that they're using the Capitol building, but it's the IRS. So that's kind of funny. So this guy says this tax return was unusual, so the computer spit it out. The man recorded an income of 37,000 last year and $1,037,000 this year. Furthermore, that million was given to him by the government. Was it? Who is this guy? The CIA, maybe? Steve G. Rogers. No one I'm familiar with. I better take this file to the head auditor. So, Captain America is about to get audited. So this Americade is like, I don't know, those concerts where, I don't know, all these groups made themselves feel better by pretending they cared about people. But so now we're backstage and there's a Super Patriot. So this person here says, I'm not certain I understand the significance of you wearing a mask, Mr. Super Patriot. If you represent freedom and liberty, then isn't proclaiming your identity an act of freedom? And Super Patriot says, you missed the point, Joan. With my face showing, I'm an individual masked. I'm a symbol of the patriotic spirit that unites all the individual of the greatest country on God's earth. But doesn't America already have a living symbol of liberty and justice for all? You mean that hoary old has-been Captain America? Ha! He's hardly fit to be a symbol of the Social Security. And so this guy says Willie Nelson's almost done with this set. He wants you to go uh, while the Heartbreakers were getting prepared. The Heartbreakers was Tom Petty's band. So, so Super Patriot says that he can work the crowd, and he can take up the any time that he needs. So Super Patriot gets in and talks patriotic stuff here. Um, Talks about all the good things America has done. Anyway, so here's Bernie and Steve, and she's like, "Boy, Steve, that Super Patriot really has the audience eating out of his hands. I think he panders a bit much, but he sure has charisma. You say he's a baddie?" And Steve's, who does look like a grandpa, they're in a concert. He's wearing a suit and tie. It seems that way. I'm gonna go backstage, have a word with him, meet you at the van at 7 o'clock. So um, he goes and gets in as Captain America, and he has Avengers ID, and they're like, "Buddy, uh, you know, you look like a groupie type to him." So, all right, so they let him in, and Steve sees him and says, "I would like to speak to him." Of course, these are the three guys that were involved, the Buckies. And Super Patriot says, "Let me handle him, boys." What a great surprise, Grandpa America. I think you're at the wrong place, Gramps. The Lawrence Welk concert is on the other side of town. Save the witticisms, Super. What I have to say is serious. Okay, old timer, serious it is. Come on, let's go someplace a bit more private. Incidentally, I'm glad you had the nerve to wear your uniform this time. That suit you were wearing the first time we met, pretty silly looking. And Captain America says, "Let me get straight to the point, Super. I know that it's your three bully boys who've been doing the campus lawn burning and scare tactics on foreigners. Oh my, such accusations. You know what you know what I'm talking about. You know they're all on your payroll. Last time we spoke, I told you I would blow the whistle on your operation if I found out you had stepped out of line again. You just did. I had nothing to do with those things you accuse me of, Grandpa, and I know you can't possibly prove I did. So, what are you going to do about that, hmm?" And so, this page almost looks very John Byrne. So, Steve realizes he's trying to bait him, so he's going to walk away. "The offer I made you last time still stands. If you beat me in battle, I'll confess to any old thing you want. I'll even say I put a crack on the Liberty Bell. Where you going, Grandpa? It's supper time at your rest home." And Captain America is a conman, hoodlums, frauds. They all slip up eventually. I'm gonna be there when you do. Count on it. And Super Patriot's like, he's not punking out on me this time. I have to prove my superiority over him right here and now. And so he takes out his flaming sword. "News bulletin, Grandpa. The national bird is the eagle, not the chicken." And so Captain America puts the shield up, and he goes, "I heard him pounce just in the nick of time." So they're going to go through and have a fight. Just kind of skip. They just kind of do some banter back and forth. So Super Patriot does his shtick. Captain America does his shtick. So throws a shield at him. Super Patriot loses his fire sword. Cap doesn't have a shield. Punches him. Super Patriot's like, Don't tell me that was your best punch, Grandpa. That was about as wussy as your attempt to dazzle me with your keen insights into America. And Captain America's like, just a closer. And um, uses his momentum and sends him hurling into that car. So he's definitely has superpowers here. Such an old trick, Gramps. I was so shocked that anyone would try something so unimaginative. I actually fell for it. And of course, Steve's like, he's tougher than I thought. Um, and he goes to punch Captain America, dodges it, but he crushes that van. So, kind of get a bit back and forth. Cap pushes in again, sort of knocks him down, but he gets up. Um, this battle had been building up, so um, I just wish it would have been drawn a little bit better. So and so Captain America thinks, unbelievably, I've never fought such a protracted one-on-one fight before. I'm beginning to wonder if I can win this one. And John Walker's like, had enough yet, Gramps? I have. You're a sprightly old rascal, and I'd love to stay here and demolish a couple more dozen cars with you. But I gotta run. I just heard Springsteen come on stage, and I really want to see him play. But just so you know, but just so you don't think I care, here's something to remember me by. And of course, he throws some throwing stars, and he goes to dodge, but one of them hits him in the center. Um, and so he says, "I must be tired. One hit me into my chainmail shirt." By the way, that's what these symbols were. It's just not hardly anybody actually drew all the chain uh, links except John Cassidy did, and then everybody now draws every single one. And I tried to do and imitate what. So Cap gives it to him, and then he runs away. Um, and Cap says, "I cannot believe that you know all that in this fight ended up in a draw." And so he feels terrible with everything that happened. And so Bernie comes out and says, "What happened? Did you have your talk?" And he says, "He picked a fight with me. We fought for almost an hour and I couldn't beat him. Strength, stamina superior to mine. Fighting skill, the will to win, perhaps equal. I just couldn't win," he says. And so she says, "Do you want to talk more?" She says, "No." Um, and she feels terrible. Um, and I believe I were they engaged at this time, because she says here to tell him I think it would be best for us if we broke off our engagement. So um I think they were engaged at this time. So all right. And so Sunday night again, that's not the IRS building, so that's all right. The head auditor said he'd inquire unto the matter, but I know how overburdened he is. I had the distinct impression he wouldn't mind if I followed through on the investigation myself. So that's what I've done. Spent the whole weekend glued to this terminal, researched the name on this particular tax return. I just know it's got to be one of those government personnel files, going all the way back through recently declassified World War II documents. As a bit of a long shot, but my word, that name Steve Rogers, it's here. Says he's the man who volunteered for Operation Rebirth, the project that created Captain America. That means he must be. So what do I do with this tidbit of information now that I have it, pray tell? And so he's smiling a bit. So And so, unlike most of the others, we don't get at the end or we don't get what happens next. This is the end of the issue. So, Captain America number 327 by Mark Renwald, rest in peace. Paul Neary, rest in peace. And John Beatty is still with us. So, like and subscribe. And I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.